Welcome to She's All Business. I'm Sophia, and I'm so excited for you to meet our guest today, Camryn Kanevsky. She's going to talk to us about her life and how she started her independent New York City-based women and accessory brand, Arc & Bow.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You are my 10th guest on the podcast, and this is such a big deal for me, and I'm so happy you're able to be here. So I'm curious what your go-to staple in your wardrobe is.
Well, I'd obviously have to say a hair accessory, but I'm not wearing one right now. So I will say a really nice trouser, like a suiting material, wool, cotton, something that feels flattering and comfortable and you can throw it on. I can be down for a statement moment if it's for a specific purpose, but I just know myself when I wake up in the morning and I put on clothes, I want to feel comfortable. A good trouser, you could basically pair with anything, a t-shirt, a sweater, button down, whatever. And then you just feel good to go. You could wear it to dinner. You can wear it during the day.
If you could only wear one accessory, which one do you think would complete a look and you'd feel the best in?
I love putting on our headbands that kind of elevate your outfit and make it feel a little more intentional. I really like belts, obviously none of which I'm wearing at the moment, but I feel like a belt is very chic and simple. In our upcoming collection, we have a charm bracelet and a lot of metal pieces. So we're expanding into the world of metal and jewelry. That's where we're going next.
I want to start from the beginning with you and just hear about your journey. You're starting with your childhood, your family influences, kind of what you thought you were interested in doing when you were a child.
I grew up in LA in a creative family. My dad was a filmmaker, a director, and he also made trailers like earlier on in his career. My mom is more of the organized one. She was a producer of television commercials, and then eventually her and my dad worked together a little bit. My brother is a musician, so we're all somewhat creative. My mom is also an athlete. She was a competitive tennis player. Now she's an amateur golfer, and she is still competitive, but not on a professional level. And so I started golfing and I had a bit of a knack for it, I guess. That took a lot of my time growing up. It wasn't necessarily my identity though. My identity was always interested in art and fashion. As I was going to college, I knew I wanted to go to NYU from early on. I wanted to live in New York. My dad is from New York. I wanted to come back here. So I got into NYU and I was just in the liberal arts department. My college essay was read by someone at the USC Film School, and I guess it was written in a way that felt very cinematic. So he suggested that I come take a screenwriting class there over the summer. And I did, and I really loved it. I loved writing things and seeing it in my mind's eye and having that world within me and being able to share it with others. Once I did that experience, I decided that I wanted to be in film school. I transferred to Tisch, was in the dramatic writing department, but I got an internship at a music management company, this subsidiary of Warner Brothers called First Access. And at the time, they were representing Madison Beer and Lil Peep, Rita Ora, a group called Lion Babe. I liked music, and I guess I was a little bit more inspired by musicians at the time than I was filmmakers. Okay. So that's why I was interested in doing something in the music world rather than focusing on film. Yeah. And I think it's very good to not be so obsessed with one world. I think although I was different than other kids that I was going to film school with because they were so into it. They were so into the classics. And I was just not, I couldn't authentically meet them there.
Yeah.
I had to go do my own thing a little bit. And then now I'm like, I love watching French New Wave movies, and I really, really admire filmmakers, and I had to just get there on my own time. And then I ended up going to USC. I wanted my writing to be made as films.
Yeah.
I wasn't so much interested in theater. Once I transferred to USC, I was a script reader for a production company called Heyday. So I would read scripts, read books, and write coverage. So I was in film school. I was enjoying it. But at this point, I was now a freshman for the third year in a row because of credits and whatever. So a part of me knew that a diploma was very far away. And it wasn't necessarily out of the question that I may not get to that point. Once I had completed 4 consecutive years of school, it was 2020, and I was kind of ready to take a pause and potentially resume later. So that's what I did. I took a leave of absence. And at that point, with everything going on in the world, I realized that writing was coming from a very dark place within me. And I was eager for life to be more joyful, and I wanted to be more so the captain of my own fate. And I didn't see that being plausible with writing at the time. The world was somewhat at a standstill, so it felt very okay to just be and to just see what unfolds. Yeah. And then I ended up doing event. I mean, I don't even know if I would call it event production. Basically, I was like a promoter.
How long was that for?
That was about a year. Then I had an idea of how I would like fuse nightlife and tech. I don't know where I was. I was just thinking like, okay, I'm a tech entrepreneur all of a sudden.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about what tech?
Okay, it was basically like a social networking platform for promoters and for people who are looking to go out, and connecting them in a way that made sense for both parties.
So was it like an app?
It wanted to be an app. It tried to be an app. I tried my hardest. It just never quite got there.
But like, that's okay. Yeah. I kind of love that you tried that, even though it's not your thing.
I mean, the tech world is just not for me. It was a failure. It was like I lost sleep over it because money was spent and money was lost. And it was gut-wrenching. But also the fact that I could even be in that position at such a young age to explore an opportunity like that, I have a lot of gratitude for that.
And then you, somewhere down the line, started to be a Pilates instructor?
And I was living in Austin. My boyfriend and I moved there just to get out of LA and to try something new for a little bit. So I thought it was the perfect place to try something out. Yeah. And I found this studio, and this woman who was like my mentor, basically, she gave me my first job. Then when I moved here, I started working at New York Pilates, and I still do.
So you ended up doing some creative direction work, and you worked with a clean energy drink brand called Mindful. Can you tell me about how that came about for you?
Yeah, so we met very organically. Rachel, her name is, she's the founder of Mindful. We met in September of 2024, and we just vibed. She wanted me to help her with the creative direction. I did sort of a rebrand. She had a team working for her that didn't really understand the vision that she wanted. And I grasped it very quickly. And coming from a fashion background, that's how I frame things, fashion and film. So even though it's an energy drink and it's clean and it's healthy, it's like, it doesn't have to be the same clean girl drop of water, like, you know, super digital, like high quality, high res photos. Like, I saw it more as a futuristic, like a retro futuristic space age. Then we shot the launch campaign because she still hadn't launched yet. So I kind of just came on to put a new spark into it.
Jumping back to 2023, you launched your brand, Arc and Bow. Yeah. Tell me about that whole process. How did that come about for you?
I wanted life to be more joyful. I remembered how much I loved fashion and photography, creating just beautiful things, you know, like nothing so esoteric, just like pretty things, beautiful imagery. And so started with hair accessories because it was simple, no sizes, you know, standard. You can customize it in particular ways, like the amount of padding we put or the measurements, the fabrics we choose, the silhouettes, like everything is very thought out and custom, but it wasn't the undertaking that a full ready to wear line would be. And I didn't have the confidence to do that quite yet. So we launched with one collection of like 19 SKUs and shot a campaign with these super cool girls who I'm still connected with today. They're both musicians, actually. And we shot at a friend's house in LA, this like beautiful mid-century modern house. And it just like the vision came alive. It was like, whoa, this is like something I imagined happening and it's really happening. And people have really connected with the imagery that we put out. I think that even though we're very slow on designing and we're very intentional with what we put out, so we don't have the most variety of what we offer at the moment. That's where we're going next. Now that we have the brand identity established and something that feels like people can see it and think like, oh, this is Arc and Bow, like this makes sense.
I'm curious how long the process was from the initial idea to actually launching.
So it was about a year. It started with the concept of, okay, I want to do something in fashion. I want to have a brand. I want to have something that's me that I put out there and I share with people. So then it was like, okay, well, what am I going to design? What am I going to make? Then I was just wearing this headband that I got from Brandy Melville. Like it was a $5 headband from Brandy Melville. And then I was like, wait, I totally forgot that like 12-year-old me loves Blair Waldorf, still does, obviously. And like, what if I made hair accessories? Like hair accessories are fun. So I thought about like, what would they look like? I looked into other companies, like what are they doing? What are people interested in? What do I like about what they're doing? What do I not like about what they're doing? And so I came up with my own concept of how I wanted the pieces to look. Certain technical things about like where I wanted the seams to be. I noticed that like on our stretch headbands is what we call them, where they're just like the flat ones that are made of fabric. A lot of the times there's this bump in the middle of other brands, and it's because the seam is on the back, in the middle, instead of just on the top and then one seam through the back at the back of the head. So there's just this bump. That's so simple. Like just put the seam on the top. So just certain things like that. I was like, okay, I can, even though it's so small, it's literally this big of a piece of fabric. I was like, okay, I'm putting my customizations on it. Yeah. And so that's where it started. Now it's blooming into a real fashion brand. Yeah. We're going to develop a ready-to-wear collection eventually. Like it's starting now. I don't know when it will come out. I don't know when it will be ready, but that it feels like I have the confidence now to do that. I may not have the technical fashion background, but a lot of filmmakers that I like don't have a technical film background. Like, coming from somebody who went to film school, I don't have any more or less respect for somebody because they have a degree or they have a classical training. I so admire the people who do, but I don't. So I'm just still running with it.
Do you, I mean, you obviously design everything, but do you actually make it yourself, or do you have a manufacturer?
We have a manufacturer. We also have a seamstress that we work with in the garment district when we're sort of developing ideas. That way I can be there with her and explain things in my way of explaining it, and then she can help me, and we like work on it together and we make small changes. And then once we have something that we're satisfied with, our manufacturer will make them, or the sampling process happens with the manufacturer. Kind of depends on what the piece is. With the metal stuff, we developed it with a caster in the jewelry district here. And that was like a long process of sampling, and because it was a whole new material that we were working with, a whole new process. So it always takes the help of someone else. Like, I am not physically doing everything A to Z. I just have the concept and the idea in my head and the vision, and then I do my best to make it a real tangible thing.
So how is the learning process with that? Because I feel like going into it, you don't have a degree in this, you don't know much about the production within the fashion industry. How did you learn about, okay, I need to go to a manufacturer for this? How did you find them? Like, I'm curious about that process.
Just some through word of mouth, some through like Googling. I think the seamstress I found through the CFDA website. They have great resources. Our manufacturer I found through just Googling and like looking for places that do hair accessories, like with the specific pieces needed and the machines needed. And it's definitely a learning process. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know any like terms or verbiage. I don't know. You figure it out. I mean, you can't be afraid to sound stupid or that you don't know what you're talking about. You can't be afraid to admit that you don't know what you're talking about. Sure, there's certain times where like you probably shouldn't admit you don't know what you're talking about. Like, if you're in the jewelry district and you need something done, maybe don't be this like girl who's like, how much does this cost?
Want to be taken advantage of.
Right. And that's inevitable. That will happen. I'm sure if a different person came into those spaces that I walked into, they may get a different price or treatment, whatever. That's bound to happen. I think there's just a level of self-awareness needed. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to learn though. And then eventually I will know what I'm talking about. And you just do. It happens. I feel like I know so much more than when I started. And there's still more to learn.
So do you have a favorite piece at Arc and Bow?
There's certain pieces that I love styling when we do shoots. Our mod headband, it was inspired by this film called Vivir Sa Vie. There's a character in it named Nana. She wears this headband in it, and that was the inspiration for the silhouette of the piece. And it's called mod because it's sort of a 60s mod concept. That one I love styling on people and photographing. So I have a particular affinity for it. We also have a headband called the Madeline headband, which is a brushed wool. And then there's these little like speckled rhinestones. And that one is also really beautiful to style and to photograph.
So I know we talked a little bit about kind of the learning process with your business, but how were you feeling at the beginning? Were you intimidated? Like, how was that initial feeling of starting your business and then actually having it become pretty successful and like it going well, and that the feeling maybe changing throughout?
I'm not afraid to be disappointed, and I'm not afraid to fail. Of course, I don't want to, but it's not that serious, you know? What matters is family and friends and like your health. And I'm grateful even to just be able to play around and make things and share them with people. So I think that even in the times where I'm like, whoa, a lot of money is going into this, sometimes the money's not coming back. Sometimes you obviously have to be serious about decisions. I think about money a lot, more than I'd like to. I just try to stay grounded in that this is joyful and it'll work out. Like I'm not gonna stop until it gets to the point that I feel like, okay, this is where I feel satisfied.
I'm curious what you think is the most surreal moment that you've experienced with your brand.
I would say doing the pop-up with Mirror Palais was like, what? How is this happening? Like, do they realize we have like 8,000 followers on Instagram? Like, what is going on? That was very surreal because we got to be around such a creative team. That was a very surreal moment because it was like, we're going to be in New York in person with people. And what the best takeaway from that was being connected with the Mirror Palais team.
You have probably changed a lot since your first internship in the music production side of things to now owning your business. How do you think that you have changed or evolved since then?
I think what was a need for validation became a love of connection. And rather thinking about it like, I need people to see what I'm doing so that I can feel better about myself, it was like, I need people to see what I'm doing because like that's what's so beautiful about life is like connecting with others and sharing appreciation for something.
So for your career in general or Arc and Bow as a brand, what is your end all goal with the brand or either yourself?
Store in Milan, maybe. Like just I want just like a beautiful store that's like a sanctuary for me to go to. And I want people to feel like, oh my God, I work at the Arc and Bow store. Like, I don't know. I want to create a space for people to come to and feel good about. I see us expanding into more types of products. I definitely want to do ready to wear, continue to do accessories. Well, the goal is definitely, since we'll be based in Italy, to have our pieces also made in Italy. When we do the ready to wear, I would like everything to be made in Italy.
So you're so young for having your own business and it's going very well. What advice can you give to girls my age in college that want to start their own business and on what to do, what to avoid, just from your experience?
I mean, I would say don't be in a rush to, like, if you have an idea of what you want to do, that's amazing, but also don't be afraid of taking your time. Even though I am young and I feel very young, I feel younger than I am. When I was actually your age, I was like, I thought I had to get to a certain place by a certain deadline, or like it was never going to happen, or I was just not worthwhile. I realize now that it takes time and it's also okay to be older because you're better. Continue to learn about what you're passionate about and go for it, but also don't be in a rush. Like, let it play out, let it take time. Don't set an artificial deadline. Just keep moving forward.
The last question I always ask on every episode is if there's any internships or networking opportunities that you can recommend or offer to the listeners so that they can apply to.
Yeah, you can always email us, contact@arcandbow.com, and send your resume. We always need people who do graphic design work, people who do design, like pattern making, that kind of thing, if you're into that. Another thing we do is we have a part of our website that's expanding, that's like an online we write editorials. So if you do editorial writing, if you're interested in journalism, film, music, fashion, we have a platform for that. So a variety of things.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before we end the episode?
Also, life's too short to have just one dream. So like you can have multiple dreams. You don't just have to be like into one thing. You can do 50 million different things until you figure it out.
Well, Camryn, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you supporting me.
Of course.
And yes, thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in this week. And I will see you next week.